The Grand Army of the Republic Museum is located in Lynn, Massachusetts, and is still to this day used as a meeting place for war veterans. This building holds many artifacts from past wars, mainly the Civil War, including a library and the private quarters of General Frederick W. Lander of the Union Army, to whom this post is dedicated. The Grand Army of the Republic as an organization was founded by Benjamin F. Stevenson for the purpose of fraternity, charity, and loyalty. The GAR's initial purpose was to serve as a brotherhood for veterans of the Civil War, but became much more, having a large impact on the political, social, and economic climates of the post-Civil War era. In the years since its inception, the GAR has evolved into an important historical landmark that tells the stories of its numerous members and the times in which they lived. Lander's Post 5 has an immense meeting hall that can hold hundreds of members at a time. All of these men have their pictures up on the walls as a symbol of their belonging and loyalty to the Grand Army of the Republic. This was a place of sworn secrecy, where the veterans could talk about anything from troubling war experiences to daily struggles. If one of these men lost their job, they could come to their friends and try to get the job back or get another job. Regarding the politics of the time, these men had much strength and unity, and as a whole could cast their votes for a particular candidate. Some of the candidates came from within the GAR, and therefore had a good amount of backing from their brothers. This way they could have political influence and get laws passed that benefit them. While these men were off at war, the politics had been in the hands of those left behind, whose interests differed from the soldiers. When these men returned, they had to shape the political scene to meet the changing needs of the region. During this time, society was split along different lines, such as race, education, and wealth, where the rich, well-educated white men were dominant. At the meeting hall, if a soldier had fought on the side of the Union Army, then he was equal to everyone else who did. There were no real barriers inside the hall. With the large number of men coming back after being off fighting, jobs were scarce, and that changed society tremendously. With the Union Army's victory over the Confederacy, slaves were set free, and many migrated northward. This victory changed the social class structure in a permanent way for African Americans and all of the citizens of the region. A significant number of the returning soldiers found jobs as shoemakers and other craftsmen. Many could not find work, and others were unable to work as a result of injuries and disabilities from the war. This, coupled with the economic difficulties that always occur after a war, led to severe economic challenges for the cities and towns with the largest number of returning war veterans. The GAR once again served as a central networking body that helped the soldiers find work and sometimes financial help from those who were fortunate enough to have jobs.
How would you summarize the Grand Army of the Republic and its relation to the social, political, and economic aspects of the country post-Civil War and even now?
Well, the Grand Army of the Republic was a place for the veterans to meet after the American Civil War, which we know was 1861, 1865. And when they came home, they organized the first concept, the first idea of Veterans Day. And so the Civil War veterans established themselves throughout the North, many cities and towns. This one here in Lynn, Massachusetts was called Post Number 5 in memory of General Frederick W. Lander of the GAR, the Grand Army Republic. So they all got together, and most of the people on the walls here, I don't know if you want to pan that, but most of them were from Lynn before and after the Civil War, but some came from other states, and the common thread was that they had a union discharge. But basically, it was a place where they all could meet, and as a group, they became quite strong, like a rope. You know, individual strands in a rope are not very strong, but as a group, very strong, politically, economically, and they contributed quite a lot to the cities and towns where they live. The saying goes that if you lost your job, you don't go home and tell your family. You come over here and tell these members, and you get your job back, hopefully. Well,
The Grand Army Republic in most cases served as the sole means for war veterans to return to a reasonable post-war life. The toll that the war had taken on these men rendered them often unable to continue with daily activities and responsibilities. The support they received from the GAR meetings and Brotherhood spared them many hardships that they would have endured without it. The sheer number of men involved in the war effort was a major percentage of the local population. Had the GAR not been formed, these men would have had to rely on only their families and close friends, who clearly would not have understood their hardships the way their fellow soldiers who fought alongside them did. These men truly had become brothers.